Marketer of the day, number 486. Build connections, start the conversation, tap into pain points, simplify the process, and attract high-ticket clients with Benjamin Tyler. Hey everyone, you just found us by us having a quick chat with Benjamin Tyler, and Benjamin is the founder of Client Enrollment Academy, and he helps online entrepreneurs attract high-quality leads and enroll clients into their premium services. Now, struggling to build momentum in his business, Benjamin began leveraging his personal story and Facebook to land high-paying clients, and he now helps others implement these strategies into their business so they can create the income, the impact, and the lifestyle that they desire. So lots of exciting stuff ahead. Ben, glad to be talking to you.
I'm excited to be here and spending time with you and your community.
Well, super great. So, what the heck do we need to know about getting some of these high quality leads and clients? Sounds like something everyone wants to have, right?
Yeah, right. That's the big dream, getting clients for $2,000, $10,000, $25,000. So for me, I built my business. I selling from stages, putting on events. That's how I started Client Enrollment Academy. I quickly realized running to every networking event, taking every business card and emailing people, begging people to come to these hotel rooms for 30 days or every 30 days was going to burn me out. So I pivoted online, and what was working in 2007, 2015 isn't working as much anymore. I went online, I just couldn't sell anything using webinars, running Facebook ads to webinars. And I changed things, and I realized that today people need connection. And right now, intimacy is the new authority online, and it's those people that create the relationships, create the connection, doing old school strategies online that are really crushing it right now and are going to crush it moving forward.
Well, super awesome. It does seem that's kind of happened. Like everything old is new again, and it seems like everyone is rushing to this new and the old model, right? Of getting the pipeline full, of sending the traffic from Facebook onto a webinar and getting some of these discovery calls lined up and kind of having a conversation and, working at a deal, working out some kind of recurring arrangement. And so, but it seems like there are maybe a lot of steps, a lot of moving parts. So, where do we even begin with that? It seems almost overwhelming with like all the I's to dot and T's to cross and all that. So like, where do we even begin to jump into this process, this business model?
Yeah, definitely. And it does seem hard, right? Like there's funnels and people have these complex systems, but it really, what most people get screwed up about the online world is they see marketing as sales, and a lot of people aren't they're doing their marketing, they're creating their posts, they're doing some kind of advertising, but they're not getting people on the phone. If you're going to do high ticket sales, you have to get people on the phone. And you don't even need a webinar to get people on the phone. You can simplify the process. What you need to do is you just need to start attracting people, and attracting people in this day and age is not, I guess it could be pictures on the beach or a Ferrari if you have that, but it's not a sexy, unique selling proposition. Everyone's saying that they can build you a six-figure business in 3 days. It's more meeting people where they're at and speaking to their pain points, giving them information that is implementation-based, and from there, building that relationship, bringing them into your world, and getting them on the phone. And when you build that connection, when you speak to people's pain points, and you also bring a little bit of you, because online, if you're going to build a business online today, you have to be your brand. It's not your company. It's not your product. It's you. Show a little bit of you. Show a little of your character. Show what you stand for. And those people that are attracted to you, give them the opportunity to actually talk to you. And I know that doesn't sound sexy and it's not making money in your sleep, but high ticket sales, if you're going to get someone to spend $10,000, invest that money, their hard-earned money in you at that much, you're going to have to talk to people.
Yeah, I agree completely. Be yourself. Why go to all this trouble of all this fancy schmanciness? So great. So most of those steps aren't even required. We just get them on the phone. But what would you say if there are people out there who say, oh, getting people on the phone, like number one, they're like that, maybe that sounds like a lot of work or time. And then number two, if they say, well, I'm so afraid, I can't even talk to some stranger on the phone, like what would you say to maybe quiet some of those fears or help us overcome those sorts of situations?
Well, for the first person, it does take time and it is work. The 4-hour work week only exists after you've worked your butt off for a while. The second person that's a little scared about the conversation, well, it's just a conversation. And we get so tied up in sometimes it's the fear of rejection, the uncertainty about how much we're actually worth, just asking for the sale. You have to realize that sales is really, it's just a conversation. And it's figuring out what people are dealing with, what they're struggling with. And if you can ethically feel that you can serve them, giving them that opportunity and helping them make that powerful decision to say yes to getting the support to create what they want. It's just a conversation. And, people, I'm a high ticket salesperson. I still get rejected more than I get people to say yes. Like that's just part of sales. All we can do is offer the opportunity. If we never offer the opportunity, they'll never say yes.
I love it. That's a great mindset in that. So they have this pain, they have these problems, and then hopefully you have the solution where you can bridge the gap, work something else. And if not, you had a conversation, you part ways as friends, you might have to just run the numbers game and talk to enough people where you get the amount of sales that you want. And so with this whole like phone selling thing, like were you always good at this? Did it come naturally, or was there a learning curve for you?
There was a massive learning curve. My background is actually engineering, so I'm very analytical. And I always, when I sold, I wanted to share the steps and I wanted to coach on the call and I wanted to get it really complex. And I'd leave people at the end of my sales conversations confused. I was pumped up. I was jacked. I'm like, I'm proving myself. I'm showing you all these things that we can do. Let's start. And everyone would be, oh, I got to think about it. I don't know. So I started realizing I got help, I got mentorship, I invested in high ticket programs for myself. And I learned that when we're talking about the sales thing, we got to simplify the process. It's not about showing all your gadgets, and it's not about going through your system and proving that you are an asset, because they're already on the phone with you. They already view you as a potential asset. It's more about simplifying it, just figuring out what they need. And if you believe that you can get them there, to make that offer to them. And you may say, Ben, well, that just sounds so simple and it's got to be more complex than that, but it isn't. Like you don't need, I thought when I started out, I needed closing techniques and I needed all these like one-line closes and, the things you see on television. But I found actually a great book, Spin Selling. They did stats and they said people that use closing tactics in high ticket sales close on below average of a general person. They don't work. So it's just getting there and showing up and talking, I guess.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, the Wolf of Wall Street and Boiler Room and all those, like they look super slick, right? It's like, oh, I wish I could like have all those lines in the swipe file. But I mean, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like just being a normal person, I mean, that totally makes sense, that being genuine and like actually having the conversation as opposed to using some canned lines. I mean, yeah, makes perfect sense there. So one thing that I'm sort of curious about is, so you provide these sort of like, free phone calls, and like, what's the, I don't know, what's the hook? What's the shtick? Like, what's the promise? Like, is it different of what you promise versus everyone else? Like, is it always like build a 6-figure business or something more specific? Or like, what is the, I don't know, what's the motivation for someone to get on a call with you?
Well, I believe, and the stats are showing that the tactics that were working yesterday aren't working as much. And I teach people how to build connection and how to meet people where they are. I mean, someone who just meets you, a stranger, they aren't going to, 3% of those people are ever going to buy from you. So leading with a webinar and a sales pitch isn't going to work. And I show people instead how to establish relationships, meet people where they are in the relationship, and create an experience so that they can quickly start gaining that trust, gain that confidence in you. And when they get on the phone, they're a lot easier of a close. They're at a point where we've qualified and disqualified the people. So when they get on the phone, it's not, what do you do? It's not, I want some more knowledge. It's more like, okay, I know what you're about. This is my problem. Can you help me? And if I can help them, we talk about it. And my closing percentages have grown more and more and more because I teach people the same strategies about creating connection and becoming, building community so that you can have that trust. And it's not just about your sexy USP to get people on the phone, because, people are going to come onto that phone call apprehensive. But if you show more and you show them more of that vision ahead of time, it becomes easier. And that's what I show people how to do.
That makes perfect sense. So do you have a favorite like client or a really good story about like maybe someone you trained with some of these techniques and what the heck happened there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of my clients, she was a massage therapist. She was doing $90, massages, things like that. And she wanted to do more. She felt she was more than a massage therapist. And we took some my strategies and we started implementing them. And I mean, she was very good at creating trust, and she just had that personality. So she was gifted at it. And in 3 months, she was starting to do $80,000 enrollments. She went from being a massage therapist, basically beating up her own body. That's what she said. And we got her to create a program to do something besides just becoming the massage therapist, to be something more, and learning how to stand into a powerful conversation. And in 3 months, I mean, she changed her life.
So is her selling process like similar to yours? Like, does she get people on the phone and have that conversation and then make the offer at the end?
She does the phone calls to get, she did phone calls to get enrollments, to get clients to go to retreats. And then she would do upsells at retreats. And she also worked on her present clientele where, she had the intimacy of massaging them, right? She's massaging their naked body. So it was a lot easier to have that conversation with those people as well. So it was a combination of the two.
Okay, great. And so one thing that I'm always like curious about and always like kind of on the lookout for do's and don'ts and things like that is like, how do you get into that selling mode? Because it's one thing to say, okay, get them to, book an appointment with me, get on the phone, have the conversation, explain their problems, but then it's never super clear on like how to then transform that into, based on their pain, to like come up with like an offer or a package and ask for the money and be confident, and how to do all that in a timely fashion. So I mean, how do we go from maybe like the middle or near the end of that phone call to having that offer, making that sale?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, and we all want this formula, right? We want this magic phrase to lead to it, but it really, at some point in the conversation, you've discovered somebody's wants, their desires, you've discovered their pain points, you figured out the gap of what's preventing them from getting there, and you've shown a little of that commitment. At some point, and sooner rather than just running on for 90 minutes, you need to say, listen, I understand what you're doing. I have a program that can solve, and you state all of their pain points, that solves all these pain points and will allow you to have all the things that they want. Just recite what they want. Would you be interested in getting the support from me to create this transformation?
Well, that's okay.
And then they're going to say yes or no. And from there, if they say yes, it's like, okay, well, this is the program. This is what it is. And then work through some of those objections. If they say no, well, we got to figure out why they aren't willing to. They're on the phone because some part of them feels the greatness inside of them. Some of them feels like they need help. We got to figure out what's preventing them and trying to do everything by themselves, because we don't succeed alone.
So what usually is preventing them? Like if this is the situation where, you get some kind of prospect on the phone, they tell you these things and you listen and you say, here's a good fit based on what you told me, and you recite some of these things back to them. And if there's that hesitation with them as far as pulling the trigger, why do you think that usually is? Is it like it's out of their budget, or lack of confidence, or like if there's problems or resistance in making that sale, is there a usual reason why that is?
Yeah, there are a few reasons. I mean, you should, if you have a system in place that's good, you should pre-qualify people about the money. And the money should never be the issue if they're on the phone. It's more, and people don't like to hear this, but a lot of people are just comfortable being uncomfortable. They're comfortable with the fact that they've saved this money and they don't want to invest in themselves. That there's fear around giving up their money, and they're comfortable. Why they want bigger things? A lot of times they're just comfortable being where they're at. They like that fact that like they just, maybe they don't like their job, but they like their steady paycheck. And a lot of people are just, they're just comfortable being uncomfortable. And it's you got to help them in those moments. You got to help them realize like they're on the phone for a reason. Like they're sick and tired of this comfort, because complacency is atrophy for most of us. You know, we want excitement. We want to create greatness in our life. And we have to push people, and we have to stand up often. We have to stand up for their greatness before they're ready to, because there's fear, right? When's if I fail? What happens when people start judging me? You know, I'm going to do a podcast, but what are people going to say when they realize I'm having a podcast? Like, we have to realize like these things are, you know, things in our head that aren't true, and that we can have these things and stand up for it.
And the way you describe it, it sounds like maybe some of these prospects have their brain sort of tangled in knots, right? It's like you said,
Yeah.
maybe they hate their job, they like their paycheck. It's like, well, do you like it or you don't you? Or they have the money and they're afraid to spend it, but they do want the result. And it's like, well, do you want the result or not? Like, here's the answer right in front of you. And so like, how do we go about kind of setting them straight? Because it seems like almost a delicate thing to do, right? Because it's like, if you're not, maybe, I don't know if aggressive or pushy enough is the right word, but it's like, if you don't really like bring these things to light, then they won't get to it. But it's like, if you're too harsh, it seems like that it might shut them down. So how do we maybe tell people what they need to know without being too pushy about it?
Yeah, there's, you know, it goes back to the closing lines. There's some of that when they just throw you a closing line and you know they're just trying to manipulate you, or they try to apply this false scarcity and these tactics. And that turns people sour, because people that are investing in themselves are really smart. They know when they're being manipulated. But at the same time, the sales conversation often, I mean, we have to help them make a powerful decision. And making powerful decisions is standing tall. It's being firm. It's saying the things that other people won't say. If somebody says, oh, I don't have the money, you need to see if that's the real reality. You can't believe that's like, but wait, you know that I sell a high ticket program. You came on here, you have to have the money somewhere, because you knew this was going to be an enrollment call. Like, you asking firm questions. You have to ask firm. You have to, you can't always just be the nice guy, but at the same time, you don't want to be a dick. And that line is not as fine as we sometimes view it as.
Okay. So,
and it's also a place of power. I mean, if we're going to coach this person through their transformation, whatever it's their business, their life, their health, we're going to have to show before the call that we are a person of power. We're a person that can help them. We're a person that will stand firm when they are cowering of the fear of getting to the next level.
Yeah, and it seems like it would be sort of maybe like a little awkward at first to do, but in the long run, maybe being like a little, maybe being a little less polite than average, and maybe a little more direct. And what comes to mind as you're explaining that is like I was listening to some like Tony Robbins thing years ago where he was like talking to someone in a break at his event, and someone was just kind of going off and like almost whining about her problem, and he took like a water bottle and sort of poured water on her head a little bit just to kind of like wake her up, break her out of the funk. So it's kind of thinking like that, like maybe, like you said, maybe don't be a total dick or a jerk, but maybe be firm, and there's a reason why they're on the call with you. So why waste everyone's time? If everyone's beating around the bush, maybe just like cut to the chase, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's cutting to the chase. It's being confident to ask for the money and to be confident to go for the sale. I mean, people can sense these things. Enrollment calls are a lot like dating. You walk up to a girl and you're attracted and you start talking to her and you ask for her number. A lot of times you're going to get no the first time. I remember one girl I was dating, I had to ask her out 5 times. Awesome. And, it's the same thing. It's standing in that power and saying, no, like I want you, like I want to go on a date with you. Like why won't you? And not quite why won't you, but in the sales conversation, it's the same thing. It's like, no, you're here, you're on the call. Why aren't you taking the next steps to move forward? Like that's a powerful question to ask. Why aren't you moving forward? You're here. What's really getting in the way? It's not the money, it's not the time. What is it? And making them actually say it, and making them actually, you have to puncture their ego a little bit sometimes. You have to say, you have to, like, I don't want to say punch them in the face, but you kind of have to metaphorically punch them in the face and say, wake up, pour some water if you have to. Like, that's a great thing, like analogy.
Yeah, pattern interrupt. So,
Yeah.
So I mean, it sounds like, so I know that you're against the canned, cheesy closing lines and those sorts of things, but it sounds like maybe there are some pitfalls that are easily avoided, perhaps, and like one of them sounds like not asking for the sale or being too timid about the price. But are there any maybe just not easy mistakes, but mistakes that we can easily avoid in our phone calls, in our selling process, things like that, that maybe we didn't even know we were aware of, but if you just said us straight about that, then it's like things that are easily avoided? Anything like that come to mind?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the number one thing is what you're selling is not about you, and it's not about your product. It's not about your service. It's not about your 5-step formula. And I used to believe it was. And I'd run through the whole entire process with people. People don't care about your shiny stuff. What they care about is what they want. And if you're going to be good at sales, it's not about telling them about all the things that you can do for them. It's about figuring out what they actually want. What are those core things they truly want? Figuring out why they want them and what's getting in the way, and then standing firm and in helping them make the powerful decision to finally say yes, saying yes to the life they want, yes to the money they want, yes to the career, the business, whatever that may be. And we just focus too much time in the sales conversation on us because we're worried maybe we need the cash flow, maybe we're really proud of the system we built. But people don't care about that stuff. They care about themselves. And if you keep it about them, you're going to have an easier time throughout the whole process.
I love it. And the way you laid it out is super simple, and it kind of untangles a lot of the, I don't know, the hangups that it seems that we have. And I mean, it's I don't know, it's like things that maybe like I've seen or I've done or like mistakes I've made, and the moment I was like, I can't believe I made that mistake. But as you're explaining this, I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? No one cares about us or our system, and we might care about it a lot because we put a lot of time into it or a lot of work, or we have this like inflated ego about it. But I mean, if they don't care about it, then what else does it matter? So I mean, this makes perfect sense to focus on them, focus on the result and those sorts of things. And so, and I imagine that maybe a lot of the difficulties, the awkwardness that people might have with this phone call stuff is just solved by doing enough of them, right?
I was just gonna say you made the perfect you said the perfect thing is like and that's experience, right? I made mistakes on some of these calls. There's we all want the script, but scripts are nice, but at the end you have a personality. I have a personality, and we have to blend and create a process that's authentic to us, that allows us to stand firm and confidently. And we learn from having conversations and asking. And there's nothing that beats experience.
I agree. And so along those lines, would you say like there's a certain amount of experience that you needed before you got good in your eyes? Like, would you say like it took you like a year or 2 years or 100 calls, or like when do you, how much, I don't know, how much work and time do you think you had to put in before you got what you considered to be good enough?
I'm still learning. So, and I say that because I'm always learning. I still make mistakes, and I've done, hundreds and hundreds of enrollment calls. But when I didn't walk in with anxiety on the call, it probably took me about 30 calls to get over the nerves. And probably it took me about 50 to 75 calls to really have a system down that worked for me. And, like I said, I'm still learning. I'm still trying things out. I like to mix things up and keep them fresh for myself too. So I don't know if that answers the question, but that's the truth.
Yeah. I mean, it's like it sounds like you have a mindset of curiosity and always experimenting, and I just need to do more, and I need to get through the kind of the bad or the mediocre calls in order to maybe build that muscle and get to the good stuff. Yeah. And so
it's that too, but it's also like, I'm going to be honest here. I'm still leveling up. I'm still pushing for the next thing. I'm pushing to get to the next tier of making money. I'm going for bigger clients. I'm going for bigger things. And there's nerve around there. I get, there's some calls where I know I'm going to ask for a price that I've never charged before, and it's a big price. And it's like, my gosh, like I'm going to have to stand in this value, but I still, at the end of it, I still ask for it. I still go for it. And that doesn't mean there isn't nerve in there. But one of my buddies who is a musician who played all over the world, a good friend of mine, I asked him one time, I said, do you still get nervous when you perform on stages? And he said, Ben, I know what you're asking, and I know that feeling, but I channel it as excitement. And a lot of our blocks are these nerves. We call it nervousness, this fear, but it's the same feeling as excitement. So just channel it in a different way. That's very Tony Robbins-esque, but it's true. Like I can say I get nervous when I'm about ready to ask someone for $50,000 to work with me. But you want to know what? Like instead, why don't I have the excitement? Like, I'm going to have to stand in even taller and in more, in more power. I'm going to have more abundance of money. Like these things are exciting. Why not channel it that way? Because I'm going to reflect more confidently if I channel the energy like that, as opposed to being like, oh my gosh, like, am I going to be able to live up to this?
Yeah, I like that a lot, and both those points you made. That, and number one, like I'm not like a professional musician or anything, but like back when I was a kid in school band, like I'd get nervous before every concert, but then eventually figured out to channel, as you said, to redirect that nervousness, that excitement into focus. And thinking back, if I was playing at a school concert and if I wasn't even a little bit nervous, it'd be like, well, then why the heck am I even here, right? Like, why would I even have the reason to focus? And also, I love that attitude you have about upping your game, right? And like, I mean, you think about guys like Richard Bandler, who charged like, 10 grand for 1 hour. It's like, there's always that next level to move up there. Like, I'm sure, like, I don't even know what Tony Robbins would charge, or like Oprah would charge or something like that, but it's got to be like a huge amount just for that little bit of time or effort on their part. But they've built themselves up to that point, and it's worth it. And it's not always necessarily about as you know, like not always about the time or the effort put in, but in the result that's delivered. So, I mean, great attitude and great lessons delivered here. And so I want to make sure that everyone knows all about you and what you have going on and what kind of resources you have for us. So, I mean, after kind of hearing about your mindset, your process here, I mean, where should people go? What sort of websites or links do you have for us today?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if anybody's I built my business on Facebook, and I built my business creating relationships through Facebook advertising, Facebook groups, organically. If you want to learn how to market yourself on Facebook in 2018 and moving forward, I created the 2018 Facebook Marketing Playbook. You can get that at clientenrollmentacademy.com/Facebook. It gives you everything you need. It's probably the most valuable piece of content you will read that's free in 2018. Go there. Another thing, I'm launching a YouTube channel. So if you like YouTube, you like video content, search out Benjamin Tyler on YouTube. And really those are the two places of, a plethora of things I could say.
Well, super great. So Client Enrollment Academy /Facebook to figure out what you need to know to market yourself on Facebook in 2018 and beyond. And then hop on YouTube and check out Benjamin Tyler to see what Benjamin is up to these days. And so as we're winding things down here, Benjamin, is there anything that you wish you'd known going in, or like if you could send a message back in time to your past self, is there any just like one thing that you wish that you could have told your younger self? Anything come to mind there?
I wish I would have looked in the mirror and told myself to shut up more often and just went for the things that I wanted. We are our worst enemy. We're our biggest critic. And the less that you listen to your thoughts and the more that you go after what's in your heart, the more you're going to get.
Awesome. As Nike says, just do it, right?
That's right. That's right.
Well, super fantastic. So once again, to make sure that all of you fine listeners know where to go next, YouTube, Benjamin Tyler, and then most importantly, to claim that freebie, to figure out what you need to be doing on Facebook, not what you maybe should be thinking about doing, but like Benjamin said, less thinking, more action. So take more action on Facebook. Go to clientenrollmentacademy.com/Facebook. Go and claim what's there, and we'll see you on, in the next years and beyond to see what you're doing on Facebook to get these clients and getting people on the phone and listening and solving problems and kind of filling the gap between what they want and what they need to have. And if you're not doing that, then guess what? First of all, you're doing these prospects a disservice because they need you in whatever capacity you provide to get to where they need to go. So you're doing them a disservice there. And number two, if you fall flat, if you don't follow up, or you're not confident enough with your sale, then they're probably going to go to someone else and go and buy from someone else. And who the heck wants that? It doesn't seem fair at all, right? If you do the work, someone else gets the sale. So why not get paid what you are worth? Why not earn what you want to earn? So do more of these things moving forward. Get people on the phone, market on Facebook, clientenrollmentacademy.com/Facebook, and we'll see you there. And thanks so much, Benjamin, for stopping by and having a real fun conversation with us today, being honest and vulnerable. I loved it, had a lot of fun, learned a lot of stuff, and I hope you had fun too.
I had a blast, man. Thanks again.
Please take a second to rate and subscribe to Marketer of the Day in the iTunes Store. It's free. marketeroftheday.com/iTunes.